My, oh my, oh my. Sorry, I got choking. No, I'm not spreading COVID, but I was at risk of choking there for just a second. Wasn't I Patrick Mahomes? Wasn't I Andy Reid? Oh my goodness. The walrus, the Craig Stadler lookalike, he can smash a double cheeseburger to his choking skills in the second half of playoff games. My God almighty. Matt Nagy, was that you? When you look at that last drive and some of the decisions made by Patrick Mahomes and some of the plays that were called and the way that whole thing was executed, Nagy, was that you doing your noontime best? Because it sure as hell felt like it. Holy shit! Holy shit! Burn down Cincinnati, which basically means just throw a lighter into the damn river there and the whole city will burn down. Estimated loss of retail value about $1 million for the entire city. I kid. God bless you, Cincinnati. Right about now, you've got Bears fans taking to their tweeting devices talking about how the Bears are once again the uncrowned Super Bowl champions. Or at least in this case, the uncrowned conference champions. Just like last year, they beat Tampa Bay in the regular season. It's like, oh, we're better than Tampa Bay, so that means we should have won the Super Bowl. And now, this same Bengals team, where Joe Burrow looked like absolute dog shit early on in the year, had me mistakenly calling him mid and all this other crap. And if you watched that game, that didn't seem crazy, because he was ass cheeks. Straight ass cheeks. That same Bengals team that lost to those sorry-ass Chicago Bears has now went into Arrowhead in Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, came back from a 21-3 halftime deficit and pulled it out in overtime, 27-24. What a roller coaster ride this was. Because in the first half, it looked like the fairy tale for the Bengals was quickly coming to an end. I mean, you couldn't be blamed for sitting there and thinking this was going to be about blowout city. Because the first three drives, Kansas City had the ball offensively. They were moving like machines, like clockwork. They were the Chiefs that you would expect the Chiefs to be. They were the offense with Patrick Mahomes, with Tyreek Hill, with Travis Kelce. That team, that offense, what you expect out of them, their name, their reputation for a team that is now playing in their fourth straight conference championship game. They were all of that and more. And the Bengals offense was slow to get into a rhythm. The Chiefs defense was coming up with key and timely pressure, key and timely pass breakups. The Bengals defense just couldn't figure it out. The Chiefs defense was doing a better job of keeping clamps on Jamar Chase, shadowing Honey Badger, other help to him. I mean, the first half, you look at this, and it was looking really, really bad. Was it as bad as the halftime studio show? You got the music playing in the background and all the talking heads are trying to talk louder over each other. They can't hear shit. That was both painful to watch and listen to and absolutely magnificent. Injected straight into my veins like it was a goddamn Scott Steiner math lesson. But my, oh my, an important reminder that even in a road situation, in the AFC Championship game, you have to play 60 minutes beginning to end because a lot can happen, especially in today's NFL, where offenses can be flying and in rhythm just like that, and then all of a sudden they hit a brick wall. And meanwhile, your offense that hasn't done hella beans in the first half whatsoever can come out and find its rhythm, and that's what happened in the second half. Like, it was an entirely different second half. Everything that the Chiefs did right in the first half, they did wrong in the second half. Everything the Bengals did wrong in the first half, they did right in the second half. The Bengals defense started making some plays. They forced turnovers. The Bengals in their offense started moving the ball, getting into a good rhythm. And all of a sudden you turn around and you look, you get to the fourth quarter, and we got us a damn ball game here. Like, it's 21-all. And it's crazy how this game played out. The Bengals go on that long drive and ultimately kick a field goal, and you're handing it back to the Chiefs with a little over 6 minutes to go, and the Chiefs are only down 3, so a field goal ties it. Either you get it back in enough time where you hope Burrow and the Bengals offense can get back into position to kick a game winner, or at worst, you go to overtime, or at worst, if you're the Bengals, at absolute worst, you end up letting the Chiefs score, and you can't equal them, and the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl for the 3rd consecutive season. And it was looking ominous for the Bengals, because the Chiefs, before you know it, looked like the Chiefs would get into that spot. All the bad play calling and all the bad execution you had in the second half, all the fucking Favre-like brain farts by Patrick Mahomes. You were still in this spot, couple of minutes left. You're in the red zone of the Bengals. Like, you should be able to score a touchdown. Like, this Chiefs team, the way they're built, the way they've operated these past several years, this is the time where you could basically, in theory, do whatever the fuck you want. You score that touchdown and you put all the pressure back on the Bengals. And that didn't happen. Like, I really question what the hell was going through Patrick Mahomes' mind on multiple plays on that final drive in regulation. Running around and then running down the sideline and trying to dive forward to get extra yards. I applaud the extra effort. You got to put it on the line. But what you can't go out of bounds, stopping the clock. Like, it didn't ultimately kill him that much in the long run, but it damn near could have. And then you look at the 3rd down play super late in the game. The Bengals don't have any timeouts. You know, we're thinking, are the Bengals going to let them score now? I guess the Bengals are thankful they didn't. And this was a good argument for why you don't. Because at 3rd down, Patrick Mahomes, like, you got to understand your situation. Worst case scenario, if there's nothing open and the pressure is caving in on you, either throw that fucker away and in the vicinity of somebody so there's no intentional grounding, loss of down and distance, or just sit there and go down. Give up on the play. Take the sack. Instead, he's sitting there running around like a fucking Jackson Mahomes-style idiot and almost damn near made that field goal a whole hell of a lot harder for Harrison Butker than it needed to be. Luckily for Mahomes and Andy Reid, he nailed it, and this game went to overtime. And thankfully for all of us, the Chiefs win the coin toss because the Bengals chose heads and it was tails and blah, blah, blah. But thank God we don't have to cue all the damn tweets talking about changing the overtime rules, because the Bengals, of course, after Eli Apple botches and drops an easy interception, a potential game-winning pick six that could have sent the Bengals to the Super Bowl. On the very next play, Patrick Mahomes, yet another brain fart, 3rd down, he's going long, hitting the arm punt, and oh boy, Jesse Bates knocks it, picked off by Von Bell, and now the Bengals are cooking with gas. And they got into position in McPherson, Shooter McPherson, with the game-winning field goal, and the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. Final score 27-24. For Chiefs fans, I'm sure this is somewhat painful, but also somewhat comforting and reassuring, because your history the past couple of decades, this is what you're more used to. Choking in home playoff games, losing badly in bad ways in home playoff games. So there's almost something painfully calming and reassuring about all of this. But for the Cincinnati Bengals, 2 years ago, this is the worst team in the league. A year ago, you didn't even know how Joe Burrow was going to recover from his big-time leg injury. Like, that was no joke. That was a significant, serious leg injury. You had Bengals fans and Twitter arguing 9 months ago about whether or not the Bengals should have taken Penei Sewell over Jamar Chase. Like, all of these other things. All the questions about the Bengals' offensive line, which in the first half looked legit, in the second half you didn't hear much about. You sit there now, and the damn Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals, going to the Super Bowl for the 3rd time in organization's history, the first time in league history that a number 1 overall pick quarterback has taken a team to the Super Bowl by his 2nd season. That's Joe Cool type of shit right there. It was a good but ultimately disappointing season for the Kansas City Chiefs, but I think if you ask a lot of Chiefs fans, they probably expected this at some point, because something was off all year, no matter what. Even when the defense started playing a little better, the offense couldn't quite figure it out. And you always felt like you were playing on borrowed time. And you saw some of the bad and key spots by Mahomes today. His Kermit the Frog ass does these crappy commercials, got an abortion of a brother that needs to go the fuck away. But it's a shame because, in that first half, he was spectacular. This Chiefs offense was spectacular, and then they weren't. And for the Bengals, a lot of times you look at a team and they're a reflection of their leadership. Major props to Zach Taylor, because this was a guy a few months ago that you were looking at potentially being one of the first head coaches fired, and legitimately so. And now in his third season in Cincinnati, the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, the Ohio kid, doing what every team dreams of when they take a guy number 1 overall. You want him to be the quarterback that saves the franchise. You want him to be the quarterback that your entire operation could be built around. You want him to be the guy that leads you to the Super Bowl. And Joe Burrow has done that. He has not done that alone, obviously, but it all started there. And what a crazy ride for the Cincinnati Bengals. To go from questioning, were they even a real team earlier this year? They were losing teams like the Bears and the Jets and shit. To now, they're going to the Super Bowl. And I wonder, for Bengals fans, are they saying, please don't let it be the 49ers again? Please don't let it be the 49ers again. Please don't let it be the 49ers again. Or do you want them? And you say you don't want the Rams. And you want to say, fuck the 49ers. We're confident we can beat Jimmy G. I don't know. But a bad, terrible loss for the Kansas City Chiefs and a great, spectacular, gutty, gritty win by the Cincinnati Bengals. Congrats, Cincy. You should celebrate this one. You've dealt with a lot of shit. You've been the Bungles for so long, but no longer.